Hello and welcome everyone, I am Maddles and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Now guys, today I have possibly one of the most exciting games I have ever cast. The only more exciting game I think I have ever done would be one of Flash's games, but let me introduce these two. It is the game one of a best of 3 from the Battle.net World Championships, and it is between Evil Genius's Stephano, the red Zerg player in the left position, who is up against Evil Genius's IdrA, who is of course the blue Zerg player in the right position. And seriously, I know some of you are more than likely to know the result of this matchup and what happens, because it did of course happen last weekend, but if you don't know, then even if you do know and just want to watch it again, then seriously, this is the place to do it. Now, obviously, being a ZvZ on Antigua and force cross spawns, it's going to be fun anyway, but, well, these two players, absolutely amazing. Of course, the two of them, well, Stephano is considered probably one of the best foreign Zerg players there is, one of the best foreign players, full stop. IdrA, again, he's hugely well known. Recently hasn't been performing as well as Stephano, obviously, but he is still a very well-known player just due to his performances earlier on in Wings of Liberty and just his attitude and all those sort of things. So we'll see what goes on. Obviously, they are both now on the same team. Stephano, obviously, a few months back transferred from Millennium over to Evil Geniuses, who are picking up apparently all the best players. But here we go. We do have a spawning pool coming down from IdrA. This is the first real change. We had slightly later spawning pool from Stephano, only a couple of seconds in it though, but of course those couple of seconds do make a difference and in the early game. But both the players going for a pool first as opposed to going for hatchery first, but not too aggressive either, not like going for a kind of anything under a 10 pool. So this is all fairly standard. Look like they're both gearing up. Now obviously, being on the same team, these two have likely played against each other an awful lot, and as a result, do they know how each other play? Well, we'll wait and see, because obviously there's always that thing where if you're playing against a teammate, you've got that metagame you can go for. And, well, as you can see, both players going for those hatcheries at the same time. And this is one thing. In Game 1, I think this is the right move to make. Go for what you think your opponent is going to be expecting, because why do anything else? You know you've got a solid build. You don't want to take any risks. You just want to play a straight-up game. If you win it, then in Game 2, you can start taking some more risks. You can start being like, well, maybe I'll try and do something they don't expect, and maybe it will win. And if it doesn't, well, who cares? It's a best of 3. We're now on equal matches, and everything's good. But anyway, so far these two players are doing literally identical build orders, identical timings on near everything, only a few seconds between them. If we look at the APM, both of them really going pretty good. Stephano slightly higher in the APM, but of course in the early stages of the game a lot of that is going to be spam as opposed to anything productive. But of course, income wise, both at 17 harvesters. This is getting really interesting just because of how close they are. And of course, in a mirror matchup is when you get those first variations that things start getting a lot more interesting. Both following up their first queen immediately with another queen, both droning behind this. IdrA getting, well, exactly the same number of drones, literally everything identical in these two. So what's sort of the long-term strategy going to be in a build like this? Well, it's really avoiding going for any early aggression and just macro. Of course, both these players more than happy going for the much more economical build, and we're not going to see any early aggression. I mean, they are both getting gas up, but, well, speed just starting there for Stephano slightly earlier. Speed should start for IdrA now, so both with the first 100 gas. IdrA keeps all 3 drones in gas, so does Stephano, so that's suggesting that they are going to be going for a quicker build into roaches, maybe getting some banelings out. We'll wait and see. Obviously, that's kind of phase 2. It's who has the most zerglings, and then, well, who has the better baneling control, and then who has the most roaches. So we'll wait and see what that does, but Stephano doing a good job of denying scouting. IdrA did of course manage to spawn that gas. That's the important thing. Obviously he knows that's down, doesn't know whether it's 1 or 2 gas though. We do have the baning nest coming down for both players, the spine crawler for Stephano, spine crawler now just starting up there for IdrA as well. So these two just going on absolutely identical build orders. This is absolutely bonkers. In terms of the worker count, IdrA 1 behind by the looks of things. Has he got out more zergings or something? I'm not quite sure, but he's falling a little bit behind in the terms of the drone count, but he is of course getting out 4 more zerglings, so looks like he's going to be going slightly more aggressive than that of his opponent. And, well, Stephano, defender's advantage is big. As long as he doesn't push out too much, as long as he doesn't overextend his forces, he's going to be absolutely fine. These are still very small numbers of units. Stephano though really pumping out the drones incredibly fast. IdrA though is doing precisely the same thing. Stephano though does have near 10 drones in production at a time, so obviously he is droning as fast as possible. Both queens injecting. We've got that neutral supply depot getting taken out. Down here, obviously Stephano moving forward that spine crawler, and that's an interesting move. It's quite a bold move, because once you start moving that spine crawler forward, you are unable to pick off banelings going into the mineral line, whereas obviously in IdrA, with his spine crawler back next to the hatchery, he can defend his ramp, he can defend this area. It's a nice tight little choke position. He can defend the queen as well, so that that is quite interesting. We do meanwhile have, well, a couple of pleadlings just trying to run in, get some scouting information. The evolution chamber down. There is an evolution chamber on its way out for IdrA as well. Both players getting up their lair at a very, very similar timing. Both players getting their roach warren within literally 5 seconds of each other. These two, it's like they're mirroring each other without even knowing. It's absolutely crazy. In terms of overlord placement, it's all looking really, really good around here at the moment. Obviously, both players have got good scouts off. Obviously, third base scouting by both players. That's good. Stephano taking his third hatchery slightly quicker. Will we see IdrA respond with his own third? We'll wait and see. Obviously, the only other option is he could do a bit more damage. They both got up all 4 gas off of 2 bases, so we could see some mutual action. Could see a quick rush into infestors. It just depends on the playstyle they're going for. They're both obviously banking up an awful lot of gas at this stage of the game. Especially Stephano, actually, already over 500 gas just sitting there. 1 Baneling detonates on nothing there, or well, it was on 1 Zergling, so pretty much nothing. So IdrA does need to be careful. He is quite a long way behind in terms of his third base timing, but his infestation pit starts an awful lot earlier right now. And well, that's a good sort of 10 seconds earlier, and we're starting to see some slight variation in their build. Stephano favouring getting out that quicker expansion, and I just love this, using an overlord to generate creep in order to get that spine crawler down closer. He's pulling back his Baneling, and well, the watchtower isn't held by anyone at the moment. They're both playing just so incredibly defensive. That one Overseer does manage to get out of there absolutely fine. The infestation pit finishing up for both players. A lot of roaches on the way out for Stephano at the moment, whereas for the moment IdrA, he's pretty much chilling without any as far as I'm aware. If we take a look here, no, IdrA has absolutely no roaches at the time being. He's getting 9 out now though. He's reacting to this push he's seeing coming across the map. This is again generated from the overlord placement, which is absolutely brilliant, as I mentioned previously. But IdrA, he should be in a fine position to defend this. It's not a big push by any means, although he's getting an awful lot of roaches out, 13 in production, so and that is really going to allow him to really crush this force, to be honest. He's got some Zerglings in there well. He's got the spine crawler, and obviously the Zerglings help by themselves. A good attack angle here. We do, of course, have Stephano with that 1 Baneling coming in though and picking off all of those Zerglings. And, well, Stephano's roaches are now forced to retreat away from IdrA's. IdrA has got roach speed about to kicking, but so is Stephano, nearly at precisely the same time. And there we go, literally within a second of each other. Pathogen glands nearly complete for both players. No infestors are produced yet, though. Looking around, obviously, third base is up for both these guys. IdrA going for a bit of counter pressure right now, trying to pick off a couple more roaches, do a little bit of damage. In terms of the loss tab, they're within 75 resources of each other, both under 500 resources lost. This is just so passive. Stephano getting out his first infestor at the time being, and well, we're 10 minutes into the game, so we're now firmly into the mid game. Roach infestor is a good composition, and surprisingly, Stephano actually getting out an awful lot of infestors very quickly, 5 of them straight away. The or the +2 missile attack on its way out. No armor upgrades yet for either player, just single upgrades. So for the time being, we do of course see here Stephano morphing in some more overseers. IdrA just pulling back, trying to be more defensive. He's fine, he's getting a couple of infestors out, but Stephano really investing incredibly heavily in terms of those infestor counts. In terms of the work account, 67 to 60 in Stephano's favour. He's got slightly better income. He does of course have, both players have all gas up rather, and well, just taking a look around, the other key difference I'm noticing is obviously IdrA has spread the creep forward a bit more, whereas Stephano just has a missed, well, he's got 1 creep tumor there, but it's not really doing anything. The Hydra Den coming down for both players, that is just great for your late game arming opposition. About 8-10 Hydralisks thrown into that army just make it so much more powerful and so much more deadly. Now here we go with another variation in their build. We've got the 4th base coming down here for Stephano, where there's a macro hatch actually for IdrA, so that is really a big difference, because if Stephano is able to hold this center base, then he's going to be an amazing spot having the additional mining base. Of course, it is dangerous to attack, obviously, from up on this high ground around here. Infestors up here, lobbing down some infested turns, that can be very potent indeed. But, well, for the time being, we're seeing that IdrA now up to 71 workers to the 68 of Stephano, so switching who had the worker lead there. Group spines coming down for both of these players at the moment, which, of course, is the Hydralisk range upgrade. But in terms of the army supply, these two very close to each other, only 10 army supply difference between them. If we look at the actual unit composition though, it's just 1 more infestor, a couple more roaches for IdrA. It's not huge, nothing here. Neither one of these players really wanting to go for super aggression, but of course, now they are both up to the kind of 70+ worker mark. We should see quite a few more. The first Hydra's picking off some overlords here for Stephano, which of course is always going to be a good move, and he's moving across the map slowly, just taking that watch count. Needs to be quite defensive though, because if IdrA has a better attack angle, then obviously that's going to go really badly, and that is of course a big thing to consider in late game, is when you're attacking into an enemy Zerg player, well, if your roaches are all lined up, if they're all clumped up together, fungal growth can be absolutely massive. You can see here Stephano pre-spreading his units as best he can, but is IdrA going to be able to come and pick off quite a few infestors? Well, he may be able to, but the fungal growth are absolutely brilliant there from Stephano. He gets some perfect bungles, and IdrA's infestors just aren't there in time. The attack angle, though, definitely better for Stephano. Infested Terran's getting locked down for both of these two guys right now, and this is absolutely crazy, but it looks like IdrA is coming out on top, just with the better angle at the end there. And of course this fourth base now for Stephano could be about to run into some problems. Some infested Terrans getting thrown down for both players at the time being. IdrA getting actually quite a lot down. He's definitely going to want to try and take out that fourth base, but as you can see, these roaches, they're trying to do some damage, but there's a lot of hydralisks there. Quite a bit of damage being done here by Stephano, and IdrA doing the right move in my opinion, pulling back. Those couple of infestors do need to be careful though. They need to get away without doubt. We've got reinforcements coming in now for IdrA as well. No energy for fungal growth, of course. Infested Terrans gone down, so that did use up a lot of it. IdrA taking that fourth base in the centre for the time being. 10 roaches in production for Stephano against, well, 9, 10 now for IdrA, as well as those two hydras. But the hydras really helping Stephano push this roach force back. And if we look at the loss tab, these two are literally within just a couple of hundred resources of each other. They are both engaging in such similar fashion. The drone count within one of each other, but we've got a small unit, a small group of roaches and hydralisks going for this fourth base, looking to try and force a cancel. But to be honest, with this many roaches and hydras coming in for IdrA, it should get cleaned up pretty nicely, although that fourth base getting very low. One volley could really pick it off quickly, and here we see Stephano using infested Terrans absolutely in a genius fashion right there. And well, luckily IdrA is able to clean it up, but Stephano pushing in from all angles, and IdrA really is on the back foot right now, being forced to pull back, and this fourth base almost certain to get cancelled now. But IdrA somehow staying in this. He's got more units coming in, he's got reinforcements streaming through, we've got some more infested Terrans from Stephano coming down, and this is just action everywhere. And of course, as you can see, IdrA really battling hard to keep this fourth base up, but Stephano is doing a couple more bits of damage. 300 health on that hatchery, which is not much at all, but it looks like for the time being Stephano has been forced back, and both these players in absolutely amazing defenses, able to keep up their fourth bases. And this game is just so incredibly tense. And here we go, we've got IdrA coming in for more pressure. They are just constantly engaging each other, constantly reinforcing behind. The upgrades are +2 against +2 attack, so the upgrades are exactly equal. We do have Stephano with a +1 carapace though coming down, so that will give him a nice little advantage in terms of the upgrades shortly. For the time being though, IdrA's infested one does have enough energy for fungal growth. These units aren't pumped up enough for the time being. Stephano just chucking down the odd infested Terrans. Now, the one thing I'm noticing here is Stephano's army is getting very hydra heavy, and of course they are not tanky in the slightest, which means they can get cleaned up very easily indeed. As we're seeing IdrA go for here, he is just hugging up on those hydras, which of course are very slow as well off of creep, and that is going to pick a big advantage here. Stephano trying to lock some infested Terrans down here, trying to pick off that hatchery down to 98 HP, and of course this is getting dangerously close to dying. We do have still though Stephano with his fourth base up in a much more comfortable position, but in terms of the worker count, 70 apiece. In terms of the army supply, near bang on equal, their supply near identical. These two are just so evenly matched in this game so far. It is an absolute honour to watch this. And well, looking around, obviously we do see now Stephano though does have that +1 carapace upgrade. IdrA has yet to even start researching it. That tiny upgrade advantage may make a huge difference, but here we go, we've got another big engagement here for the time being. Some infested Terrans getting lobbed down there for Stephano and IdrA. We've got some more infested Terrans coming down there, just to soak up some damage, do some extra fire, but for the time being IdrA looking like he's got a much better attack angle here, and Stephano forced to pull back yet again. Well, as you can see, IdrA is going for the kill right now. He's moving forward as quickly as he can. We've got more reinforcements though coming in from Stephano, getting a very nice attack arc, but of course those roaches hugged up on Stephano's unit. He's able to do good damage, and it looks like that fourth base that's got to go down now. I can't see any way that Stephano would be able to hold it, and there we see it fall, and that is a big win for IdrA right now, because of course he does have his macro hatch up, he does have his fourth base up as well, and of course Stephano now down to just 3 hatcheries, and IdrA doing precisely the right thing, pulling back as quickly as he can. As you can see, 20,000 resources lost compared to 17,000 for IdrA. These two just going neck and neck at each other. They are engaging so much, but yet still not really falling too far apart. I mean, 3,000, well, effectively 2,000 resources different between these two is not a huge difference at this stage of the game at 20 minutes in, so this is still very close. Both these two players on similar drone counts. IdrA slightly ahead, and really that's just because Stephano has been chucking down a couple of... No, IdrA rather is chucking down a couple of spine crawlers just down at this fourth base, trying to defend it from the side. Of course, earlier Stephano did go in from the side angle. We're seeing again these infestors burrowed, coming down the side, trying to creep through. There is no spore crawler for detection, no overseer either, so they are able to lock down some infested Terrans potentially. But here we go, we've got IdrA moving in, just going to try and force a cancel down on this hatchery, but is not able to do so at the moment. But here's some infested terrans getting lobbed down at the moment. And is IdrA going to pull back in time? We'll wait and see. Of course, that hatchery taking quite a lot of damage, down to 100 health, down to 50 health, just manages to keep it. And well, that is just incredibly lucky, only surviving with 50 health there. But of course, it is going to help him pay off in the future because, well, he is still up 4 drones advantage, which is quite significant in the army supply. IdrA, well, 15 army supply ahead, which isn't huge. Upgrade wise, IdrA is now getting down the +1 carapace. That is the one thing that Stephano does have the advantage for at the moment. Neither player teched up to Hive yet, which is really quite surprising when you think we're up to like the 22-minute mark. They, obviously, neither one of them wants to transition out of the mid-game, but the 4th base for IdrA does get taken down by 4 roaches of Stephano, and of course that is a big loss. As you can see here, so many of these drones being forced to pull back, and IdrA really now needs to capitalize, well, Stephano rather needs to capitalize on this, and IdrA needs to pull out a brilliant defense. As you can see, he does have the supply advantage, just reaching max out now, trying to get a good attack angles though, and of course the attack angles in late game so critical. Whoever has the bigger arc really has the advantage. You can see IdrA taking a double expansion, retaking his 4th as well as his 5th, but gonna go and pick up Stephano's 4th base, and Stephano just sacrificing it straight away, does not feel confident in dealing with that. So that is a big win for IdrA as well. You can see these rocks being taken out of the back here, and Stephano is really in trouble. If he doesn't engage his army pretty quickly, he could get himself in a bad position, trying to pre-spread his army as best as he can, trying to get a good attack arc, but IdrA just happily pulling back, biding his time, waiting for the right attack, which I just think is such good play. And this is the real difference between your good players and your great players, is when they know when to go for attacks and when to just pull back and play it safe. IdrA behind this, of course, getting up his Hive. His 5th base is half done. His 4th base is 3/4 done. And Stephano really starting to struggle now because he's down to 1 mining base effectively. And of course, when you're up at kind of 60+ workers off of 1 mining base, of course, a lot of them are doing absolutely nothing. IdrA, though, his 4th base is now back up. He's got the drones still mining there, so that should really start helping his income, which I'm sure we'll see any moment now. Obviously, the 5th base is well coming up. That's going to be another mining base from IdrA, happily holding the center of the map with his Overlord and Roach placement as well, though. He's able to get complete map vision of the movements of Stephano, who is completely contained down at his 3 bases. And if we look at the income of these 2 players now, you can see that IdrA really starting to pull ahead just due to having this central mining base, and once this 5th base starts coming into operation, that's going to become really critical. We do have 2 infestors coming through here. They have quite a bit of energy to lob down quite a few infested terrans. There's no defense of the 3rd base at all, so some drones could get taken out, but it looks like the 4th base is going to be the target. Is IdrA going to notice in time? Well, all of his force is back there at the moment, but he does have a couple of roaches in Stephano's main, and he's just running up there to go and pick up some key tech. We do see here for the time being just drones getting targeted. Meanwhile, down at the main base, we do have IdrA trying to do some damage. A fungal growth being used on some of those roaches as well. For the moment, though, these overseers are spotting the infestors for IdrA, who keeps up his 4th base. In terms of workers killed, 9 apiece. That is pretty close, but big engagements in the middle coming down. Infested terrans for both of these players now, just absolutely hundreds of them. Absolute madness on the screen, and it is really quite difficult to see what everything that's going on. But as you can see, it looks like for the moment Stephano is able to push forward, although wastes an awful lot of energy on infested terrans there, which just aren't going to be able to do anything. And well, this is getting pretty hectic pretty fast, and well, we're down, both players are just 1 supply under 200 of 200. The 3-2 upgrades though on the way out for IdrA, and if they are able to complete, that is going to be such a potent upgrade advantage against the 2-1 of Stephano. So obviously when that does come down, that could be absolutely huge, but IdrA just needs to hold off until then. But of course Stephano, in terms of the army composition, well, it's 34 roaches to 22 roaches for IdrA, but 35 hydras to 21 of Stephano. So Stephano going slightly more Hydra heavy. The infestor count is in Stephano's favour as well, so he's going for the more caster friendly, more squishy units which can deal good damage, but he's got to have good attack angles for those to work, otherwise the superior roach numbers of IdrA will just absolutely out-tank them. We do have a handful of units though coming up towards this 5th base. IdrA is trying to chase them down, and the roaches are burrowing, just trying to avoid the damage there. Is there any overseers anywhere close? We'll wait and see. No, there isn't at the time being, but of course that means IdRA's going to have to leave some of his force over there. And in terms of the unit count, well, it's pretty equal actually, equal number of roaches, one more there, but the 4th base for IdRA is under siege yet again. We do have a lot of units coming in here, a lot of infested terrans, that's going down for sure. Meanwhile though, down at the other side of the map, down the right, we have got a big engagement here from IdRA, whose army is absolutely crushing that of his opponent. And well, even though IdRA has lost the center base, he's got a spare one. These roaches unburrowing. They do have a good attack angle, but of course that is going to allow Stephano really to do an awful lot of damage. IdrA not good engaging on the ramp. Most of his micro is coming down here towards the fourth base of Stephano himself, which is taking an awful lot of damage. A lot of those infested tones not doing anything at the time being, though. And well, here we go. We've got another big force coming through. None of the infestors have enough energy for fungal growth, I believe. We do have one coming in here, though, and fungal growth could really make a big difference here. A couple of infested Terrans are going to add an awful lot of DPS. It's IdrA v IdrA for the time being, and well, the fourth base of Stephano has been taken out, whereas the top base here for IdrA has managed to stay up perfectly comfortably, and of course that is going to be reflected in the income. As you can see here, the 3-2 upgrades about to kick in for IdrA as well. They are going to be absolutely massive at this stage of the game. That's a solid upgrade advantage for him, and it's going to be nothing but exceptionally helpful. They are, what, just about 20 seconds away each. The +2 has now just clicked in for IdrA. That gives him a slight upgraded advantage. Once that +3 comes in 20 seconds time, it is going to be massive. As you can see here, though, Stephano being forced to fall back. He is incredibly high on his Hydra numbers, but incredibly low on his Roach count, and that is just allowing IdrA to tank so much of the damage, which is something that Stephano just can't afford to do. And if we look at the loss tab, well, 6,600 more resources lost for Stephano compared to IdrA, which is just something he can't afford to do when he is down on effectively no income right now. If we actually look here, he has got no mineral income. He has pulled some of these drones back, just these few mineral patches, but as you can see, IdrA, just with so much more money coming into the bank, he is going to be able to just push forward and deal so much damage once he's rebuilt his army. He's a double the supply of that of his opponent, and he is still taking a 5th base up in the very top left position. This is leaving him some really nice angles in order to defend, and well, Stephano, he's looking like he's struggling because, of course, with no money in the bank, what is he going to do? Well, he's nearly mined out his 3rd. He's about to have no money at all. He's about to be completely broke. And well, IdrA, he's getting up his +3 carapace. He's getting up his another base. He's expanding well. He's been managing his opponent's expansions incredibly well. And the most important thing, though, is that while he's been picking off his opponent's expansions, he's been taking his own. And I think this base was an absolutely inspired move by IdrA, which has just paid off so well, and could, in my opinion, result in him winning the game. Because as you can see here, IdrA nearly maxed out. He's getting the Overlord speed upgrade out, and well, for the moment, Stephano is just wandering over here, but quite a few Hydras are in play, and a fungal growth goes down, so Overseer gets picked off there, and of course Stephano is not at 200 supply capability, so he is going to have to rebuild some more should he want to even match IdrA's army in size. And of course that is not something that you really want to do at any point, because well, when you're down to 24 harvesters, you are already going for a lot of army. You can see here, though, this is the big difference. Over double the army supply sitting there for IdrA at the time being. He's got the upgrade advantage at 3-2 compared to 2-2. He's 3-3 is half done, so obviously this is going to become a big problem for Stephano the longer this game's go on, especially considering the fact that IdrA has got those additional 2 mining bases. But here we go, we've got a great attack angle for IdrA right now, and I think this could be it, guys. You can see Stephano's supply absolutely plummeting. IdrA knew he had the better attack angle, and there's the well played from Stephano, and game 1 goes to IdrA, so that was absolutely amazing. That's one of the best ZvZs I have ever watched. And if you did enjoy it, subscribe, leave a cool comment, tell me what you thought, and flick over to my channel, and I'll see you at game 2 of this best of 3 from the Battle.net World Championships any second. Bye for now, guys.